Hello, folks. This is Paul of Paul's Paellas, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the Break It Down Show. Before I say anything else, introduce the guest. Pete is an old war buddy of mine. We served together in Iraq many moons ago, and I'd like to congratulate him and the Break It Down Show for approaching its 1,000th episode. Way to go, buddy. Anyway, today, Pete and I are going to be talking to Mr. Dan Toombs, known in England as the Curry Guy. Dan has written like half a dozen books on how to prepare English curry house curries. Fascinating thing is, Dan is not English. Matter of fact, Dan doesn't even come from a culture where curry is prevalent. He's a fellow Californian like me who late in life pursued a passion, filled the need, and has become semi-famous for doing it. So hats off to him for this. Anyway, that being said, before we start the show, I'd like to mention one of Pete's favorite charities there is Save the Brave organization. If you wish to contribute something, you can hit on the donate tab. That said, welcome to the Break It Down Show, Mr. Dan Toombs. Further proof that interesting people get that way after age 40. Here we go.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl Amy.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, this is Dan Toombs, the Curry Guy, and you're watching the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yes, you are. First off, we were talking off mic, and you said the words Benicia, which tells me you've got tried and true, legit Benicia credential. And now, look, you can say Benicia if you're from the hometown, and that's fine. But if someone says Benicia, it means they know people who are from that place.
I've got a lot of family from there, yes.
Yeah. Where do you live now? Right. Okay, never mind all that. All right, from a kitchen in unknown parts, you cook curry and make it accessible to all of us. You've written a bunch of books. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how did you find?
I'm going to stop you there because I'm getting a delay.
Okay. All right. How long of a delay do you think?
I'm getting
wow, that's
about 5 seconds.
Wow.
I'm going to kick you out of the studio. I want you to come back in, and that usually fixes the delay. He's in a faraway place, so I'm going to kick him out, and Paul and I are going to talk for a second. Okay. Let me do the booting here. Come right back, Dan.
Okay.
All right. So technical difficulties. Hey, Paul.
It happens. How you doing there, Pete?
I'm good, man. Hey, Paul does incredible things as well. He makes paellas. Let me show one of these things. This is what Paul does. Now, Paul lives in California, down by San Diego, and goes up and down the coast making these gorgeous paellas that don't not only look great, but actually are wonderfully tasty. Paul, talk a little bit about you've always been able to cook as long as I've known you, and gosh, we're past 15 years now.
Yeah.
When did you decide it was paella?
I was making paella when I fell in love with it when I ran the Bulls in Pamplona in '94, and I was a much younger, more foolish man. But as a business, I think I was inspired when I was in Solder City. I think you were out there at the same time, and they blew up my Humvee. Actually, my MRAP I was in when I was in it, and I was putting together a dinner for some sheikhs, and I figured, you know what? How much is enough? I think it's time for a career change. So, boom.
Yeah, well, I mean, boom, indeed.
Oh, yeah, pardon me. So,
I'm just trying to communicate with Dan as he jumps back in. Everybody hang in there with us. So, Paul, your paella desires kind of match Dan's in a lot of ways where you sort of just do what the hell you want with paella. You don't follow the convention.
You know what? We saw, I think we're the same in that we saw something that was missing. Curry's been around a lot longer than Dan, and paella's been around a lot longer than me. But we both saw something lacking that wasn't being taken care of, and we both jumped on it and have been very successful because it was something that was truly lacking. In his case, it was hard to make make curry at home as good as in a restaurant. and he found a way of doing it, and people loved it. And in my case, the Spaniards were slaving themselves to a 200-year-old recipe and making mostly tourist paella, which, quite frankly, is garbage. And so I kicked it up a notch with new ingredients from my 30 years experience traveling the globe, and improved technique. Then, because it's a big flat surface, I got into actually decorating these things, which is logical because if you do paella properly, that's more of a traditional paella right there.
This
If you do
is
it
actually,
logically,
this is from Dan's page.
wow.
I knew you
So
would
he
appreciate
does. Oh, I bet he's got curry in there. I do that too. Curry is a wonderful thing to add to paella, which is a non-traditionalist would do. And that's Dan. That's me too. That's both of us. So I think we share that. Was that a curry paella?
Welcome back, Dan.
We still got a delay?
Maybe we'll work through it. Hey, Dan, Paul was talking about curry paellas. That doesn't follow the norm. How did you come up with all of these abnormal or non-conventional ideas for curry?
Well, that one really, I hope not.
So,
That-
okay, go ahead.
That actually was a. I think I've got a really bad delay here, guys. Still, unfortunately.
Too bad.
Let me see if I can. Can you hear me now?
We'll work through it.
All right, we'll work through it. See, that's
Dan,
not. I'm thinking.
You talk.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, I'll talk because I'm going to be delaying. I'll take these out as well because otherwise I'm talking 30 seconds. Yeah, I started a blog about in 2010, and it was after I was doing a lot of blogging for our business. We had a promotional products business, and it was, selling promotional pens and mouse mats and stuff. And I can't tell you how boring that is. That is really boring writing about a pen. So I decided to continue on with my blogging, but I started doing something I wanted to do, which was write a food blog. So that is kind of it's something I've been doing for quite a while, making Indian food, but I wanted to take it up to the next level. So I started writing it, and it just took off. It took off from there.
Why curry? So, do you love curry? Are you crazy about it? Or what about that particular food makes you want to build your career around it, your life around it?
Yeah, well, when I moved to the UK from the States, I had never even tried Indian food really. And so it was something new to me, and I just really liked it. And every Friday night we'd go down, my wife and I would go down with friends to the curry house and try different curries and everything. And they were all quite new, and I loved them. So I decided I wanted to learn how to make this stuff because I've always liked cooking. And thing is, I buy all the cookbooks, the cookbooks that were available at the time, and they didn't have what you get at a curry house. They're completely different. That at the time was it was a guarded secret. So I still continued learning how to make Indian food, the authentic stuff like you get over in India. But when I started my food blog, I really got into the making it the British way, which is what you see. Your chicken tikka masalas are getting quite popular over there, and the vindaloos. That all came from over here, the British versions, and so I learned how to do that.
And then you have how many cookbooks for this? And then why so many? It seems like once you cover it, you've covered it. It's curry, but
Yeah.
more.
Well, my first two cookbooks were all about British Indian restaurant style cooking. So it's use a base gravy that goes into everything, and you just kind of build them up from the bottom there, and just make different dishes from your madras, your kormas, everything. The third book was a vegetarian book. So I actually did that. I went over to Goa and Kerala in India, in southern India, and learned a lot of authentic recipes, vegetarian recipes. Because I'm a big meat eater, I'm not vegetarian at all. But I wrote that book for people that are like me, that aren't vegetarian, but just to show them that you can eat some pretty good vegetarian food. My fourth book was a light book, so I really, again, that was authentic. I love authentic recipes that were just. It's not a diet book; they're just naturally light. So And my latest book is kind of a compilation of the first three. And I've got another book coming out, a Thai book coming out in April, and I've just started a new one as well. So quite a lot.
I wanted to ask another question, then I want Paul to ask a question. How does curry get to places like Trinidad and Tobago? Do you have any idea how it gets to the Caribbean from?
Oh yeah, yes. That's curry was brought to the UK during the British Raj. At the end of the British Raj, they came back here, and of course there were a lot of other countries over there looking for spices, and they were Portugal, the Netherlands. They were all over there as well, trying to make their money with spices, and it just happened that a lot of those people that were over there at the time, they came back, and a lot of them worked. A lot of the Indians worked on the ships coming back here and started up restaurants. But a lot of them ended up moving over to Trinidad and Tobago and places, because at the time there was a lot of they were trying to get people to come over there to work, and a lot of people took them up on it. I don't think it was the best of ideas, but they did. Good for food.
Paul? We can't. Now I can't hear Paul. Hold on, Paul. Hold on.
Mute it.
There we go. Okay.
You got it now?
Yeah,
I'll
go ahead.
There for a bit. Yeah, I had a question. You and I are the same in regards that we saw something that was lacking, and we jumped on it and presided, and obviously there's a market for it. I was wondering if you had a similar experience that I had, and that is when I started making my artisan paellas. To get beyond the 200-year-old recipes and all the restrictions, I was getting a lot of criticism initially. Until I got to the point and people realized it was actually a very, very good product. And I wonder if you went through something similar.
Yeah, I did. I did quite a lot, actually, because who is this guy who moves from California over to the UK that starts making Indian food? Why? The thing is, I like you say, I did find a niche there. I wasn't trying to go out and tell people this is how you make Indian food. I was learning from the chefs in the kitchens, learning their tricks and how they did it. And that's a long story as well, how I got in there. But I was learning, and I was able, through my blog, I was able to promote their restaurants. A lot of them are mentioned in my books as well. So it's really just me learning from them, and I'm passing the word on to people because I'm so into it.
Okay. Well, you're clearly more diplomatic than I. We had a similar experience, but to this day, I'm kind of the antichrist to a lot of people in Valencia. So couldn't quite make that diplomatic change there. So, but good on you.
I think they should have another look at you because your paellas look amazing.
Oh, but that's the problem. It's I won't get into the history. This is not my show, but paella is associated with nationality. So making changes to it, particularly when you're not a Valencian, not even a Spaniard for that regard, it is insurmountable.
Yeah, right.
So I'll leave it at that.
I think I've had issues, but for the most part, it's been really good and really well received. And I've been lucky in that I've had some top chefs teach me. So people that when I moved to the UK, I was thinking different restaurants over here, taking my wife to them, thinking, oh, this is expensive places. This is a really nice place. Oh, well, let's go there. Let's go try it. And now they're like teaching me their recipes. Same people, same chefs. It's just
that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's been brilliant that.
Well, good.
One of the things that Paul and I talked about off mic was you were trying to make curry accessible at home, like in the curry houses, which, by the way, isn't something we have here in the States.
No.
In restaurant or whatever, right? And then Paul is like saying, "Hey, the stuff in restaurants is crap. Why don't you, make a better curry? I mean, a better paella at home." You guys both recognize that we can all do this at the house. I mean, I don't even know what curry is. I know the word. I know sort of what it tastes like, but that's where my knowledge stops. It baffles me that you can do all these things at home.
Well, I think it's great. That's what's great about cooking for yourself. I speak to a lot of people that they buy my books, they try the recipes, and they go, you know what, that madras, that was too spicy. But I always tell them, just use those as guides. Use the recipes as guides. You're the one that knows what you want it to taste like. So, if you have to cut back on the chili powder, or you need to add a little bit more lime juice at the end, that's up to you. And I always tell people, try things as you go, because if you read my recipe exactly as it is, you're trying it the way I like it. And you may as well, if you're going to go to all the trouble of making it, you may as well make it the way you like it. So
I want to expand on when you were talking. You were in the kitchens learning the traditional the traditional means of cooking. Did you find people that were resistant to you just because of your presence and your appearance?
no, not at all, really. Because a lot of when I first tried to get into the kitchens, it was just like a no-go area. They were just like, they laughed. No, we're not. It's a restaurant secret, or it's our secret recipe and all that. But I think about 2 years after I started my blog, because we got picked up by a couple of the big newspapers over here. And when that happened, my blog following really increased by 10. And because of that, I was able to go to these restaurateurs and say, listen, can you let me have that recipe that you do so well? And in return, I'm going to let everybody know where I got it. And I'll put a link to your restaurant on my blog. And it worked out to be a good partnership. I'd go to different, I was traveling a lot at the time because of my other business. And I was able to just go around the country, the whole of the UK, learning recipes from different places, and then spread the word on my blog. And then the books happened.
Paul?
Yeah, I was wondering also, not to change the topic there, but would you have any recipes or things that you would call like non-traditional, something that say a typical South Asian would look at, kind of go, oh, what's he doing there?
Yeah, that's the majority of my first 2 books.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
this. I have to admit, I have not read one of your books yet. So
right.
Well,
Okay. So like I said, my first 2 books were British Indian restaurant style food. So it's what you get at a British Indian restaurant, a curry house. And Indian chefs would look at most of those places and say, that's not authentic. That's, if you use a base sauce, everything's going to taste the same. And this is not how you do. Vindaloo is not made that way. It's made this way. And but the thing is, over here, and the curries that people enjoy in the UK, they're the ones a lot of times that you find at curry houses. When I moved to the UK, that's what I thought Indian food was, until a few years later, someone told me it wasn't. It was made for the British palate. Rather than having meat on the bone, which a lot of people in the UK don't like, they would cut it into pieces.
Okay.
And they just do different things. But they also change the names. A korma, for example, over in India is a style of cooking. It's a way of braising meat or vegetables until they're cooked through. Whereas over here, korma is a smooth, creamy, nutty, sweet curry. It's not a korma at all, really, but it's called a korma.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, pie is a little different in that regards. Well, the same. It's that everything not prepared in Valencia, which is one area of Spain, is non-traditional. It's got to be a certain. If it's not a paella valenciana, it is not a paella. So I was fighting that, and then I was fighting the fact that I wasn't Spanish, and using some non-traditional. Would you have any paellas that you would call it? This is like a gringo or an American paella? Oh, no, excuse me, curry. Beg your pardon.
Paella curry.
Do you have like no? I asked 2 questions at once. I fouled it up. My bad. No, would you have any curries that you would consider like an American style curry? Something it's kind of.
What the thing is, curry is now becoming quite popular in the States, especially like in the truck stops and everything, because a lot of truckers over there are from the Punjab area of India.
Yeah.
But it's not very big yet. It's not like, you go outside. I'm sure if you just walk down the street where you live, you're going to find 3 Mexican restaurants. And that's kind of like what it's like over here. It's hard to find a good Mexican restaurant, but we do have a lot of good curry houses.
Okay.
So, yeah.
By the way, where are you speaking from?
I'm from North Yorkshire in the UK.
Holy cow. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. It's nighttime here.
One of the things we've learned from talking to chefs and cooks and that kind of thing. Actually, let me back up and say this because Candy mentioned this to me, and I think the same is true for Paul. Neither of you has ever had like traditional chef type cooking or worked in a restaurant specifically to become like a chef. You guys are How would you?
No,
How would
no.
you title yourself, Dan?
I'm losing you there.
How would you title what you do? I mean, you weren't a chef by like you didn't go to the Cordon Bleu or anything like that at all, but you are a self-taught person. So are you Chef Dan the curry guy, or how would you title yourself?
I'm a passionate chef. I've always loved cooking. So when I got over here to the UK, it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to take on Indian food now. I'm going to try that. I've tried everything. I've tried a lot of stuff back home. I can make Mexican food. I can make Italian food. I can make Chinese. Over here, I want to focus on Indian. So what I am is I'm just somebody who, built a little test kitchen here, and I test different recipes out and then put them out on the blog. And if they're successful, people like them, and they visit the blog post a lot, then I'm happy, and hopefully they go in a book.
And then the next part of this question is of a lot of chefs and cooks that we have on who specialize in things. I'm thinking of Craig Adcock, who makes the best. He makes the best rum cake you can buy. It's incredible. And he's so particular about it. He went to Cuba and he went to the Caribbean to find the right kind of rum and realized he had to do it himself. And then he also only gets his nuts from this ancient forest that has the right kind of nuts for what he does. And he's like, and that's what separates me. And then he's like, and I have to get the right kind of flowers. So how particular are you, and how particular do we need to be with the things that we buy for a curry? Can we literally just go buy the cheap chicken at the manager special style? And what are your thoughts on the quality of ingredients?
I always go for the best quality I could find. I have a really good farm shop up the road, so I buy my lamb and my chicken and everything from there. We have some really good spice shops around here. There's a lot of Asian shops in the area, so I always buy whole spices. I roast and grind them myself. And see, what I'm trying to do with my books is make what you get at a curry house better. So rather than just buying something off the shelf, I try to make all my own spice blends. And that takes some time. You don't have to do that. People can work from my books and buy things off the shelf, or they can make their own spice blends, and you're gonna notice the difference because it's just so much more powerful. And I go for quality all the time, definitely.
The other thing too, you're talking about the spices and getting those things. I love shopping somewhere other than my home shopping store. Yes, for the day-to-day items and the milk and the eggs and the butter. But yeah, get into those Asian markets, Mexican markets, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Because they have the secret stuff. And you can go in there and just be like, I don't know what to get. I'd like to make curry. And they will go over the top to try to make sure you get the right thing for you. At least that's
They do. It's the same over here. Especially in the early days when I didn't know what certain things were, they would help me out, and it's just you're supporting small shops, and they want you to come back. So they do have a great service for the most part. Tell you, whenever I go back to California, Mexican market's the first place I go because I just love shopping in those places.
Just a little COVID tip: when the white people grocery store runs out of stuff, go across the street to the Mexican market. They will have it because
It's true. It's true.
Super Bowl. If you're out of avocados, go to Mi Pueblo or go to whatever place it's going to be.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, they're not going to run out there, are they?
No, they're not. That's awesome. When you go to cook something that's off-brand, that's not a curry, but you're like there's a picture of you grilling some steaks. Maybe they're going to become curry or something like that. But it seems like you're not tied. You're not just eating curry. What kind of if it wasn't curry, what would your home cooking genre be?
I cook everything. I cook a lot of Mexican food. Love it. I love cooking Chinese food, Japanese. Do a lot of sushi and everything. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. I through lockdown, we've been doing a lot of live live YouTube and Facebook and everything, where I cook with people online live. And in the days that we're not doing that, I'm doing a lot of other different cuisines and just things to make things easy on us, really, but also good tasting.
Just a couple of tip-based questions here. How long does it take to make a standard curry dish? And then if I was going to go to the store and start to build up my curry catalog of things I need, what are like the first 3 things I should buy at the store? And are those at the, Indian store, Asian store, or are these things at the regular grocery store?
Right. Okay. So, your first question, it really depends on the curry. We've just made some really nice, like what's called a lamb nahari, which takes about 3 hours. It's lamb shank, and it stews for about 3 hours until it just falls off the bone, and it's absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite curries. So yeah, that could take a long time. Curry house style food, it was developed for economy and speed. They want to get people in and out the door as quickly as possible. So when you're making the recipes for my book, you'll be making a base sauce, which is ready to go. You'll make some pre-cooked chicken or pre-cooked lamb ready to go. So when you got all that sorted and frozen or whatever you want to do with it and take it out, you could cook up a curry house feast really in about 10, 15 minutes. So it's very fast once you've got the preparation done. And as far as going out, Indian food has so many different spices. It would be hard to say your first three that you're going to get. Cumin and coriander are used a lot, but I mean, so is garlic and ginger and turmeric and chili powder. You have all the different. You have the garam masala spice blend. You got curry leaves. I mean, it's just too much to really go into. I do have a recipe though that's made with lamb. It's just pieces of lamb that are cooked in their own fat, and then you add. It's very nice and very healthy. Yeah, and it's lamb that's cooked in its own fat, and then at the end, after it's been simmering for about 3 hours, you throw in some tomatoes, you throw in some chilies, a little bit of salt, and you're done. And it sounds too simple to be good, but it's really good.
When I was in Afghanistan, one of the things I loved was when I got to eat with like the police and government people, and we were way, way, way out in the country. And you'd walk over what was left of the goat corpse, and you'd go inside and have goat curry and potatoes together. And these guys barely had a fork to cook this stuff. When Dan says it's simple, and goat curry, my goodness, what a delicious meal.
I love it. It's good.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Have you ever had the goat trotter curry?
I don't know what they called it. They would just say, "Here's dinner," and I knew it was curry, but we didn't exchange like the names because I'm sure they would call it something different, or they would just call it food. These are really
yeah. Oh, I'd love to try it.
Me too.
I try everything.
Yeah. Try paella though. Can't we get it to sell in California for some reason?
Can't get the what?
Tripe paella. I can't get that to sell in California for some reason.
Well,
I love lamb too, and I made some awesome lamb paella, even ones on Turkish skewers. But paella cooking for 20, 40, 200 people, you're going to have a large part of your audience there that won't like it, unfortunately. So I cook it for the family pretty much.
I'm going to put a picture of one of Paul's paellas. This is what drives people in Valencia and Spain crazy.
Oh, yeah, they go nuts.
In the middle.
They go nuts. That's a seafood. Mariscos.
But that's incredible. I'm gonna have to try one of those when I come over.
You get on over here. We'll make you one special.
I'm telling you right now, when you come to Paul's house, there's going to be some kind of dead animal that you don't normally eat. Could be a duck, could be a kangaroo, and it'll taste so good. And then we'll get the hot
that sounds
Then we
that
do the hot
sounds good to me.
There you go.
Sounds good.
There we go.
How often do you get to the States?
Well, up until this year, about 2 or 3 times a year. So we go back 2 or 3 times a year to go visit family. We were there about this time last year, right before everything went crazy. So we do get back quite often. And we were supposed to be going back in March, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Not quite yet. That Central Valley kid, and by the way, another Benicia connection, Ed Felt was someone who was a school administrator where you were, and he was a school administrator in my high school. That Central Valley kid who was probably a bit of a troublemaker, or at least a knucklehead. What would you want to say to that kid now? I mean, look at where you are. You live in a foreign country in a different, not just. I mean, you live in a totally different place and make a food that's completely foreign to what that Central Valley kid ate. What would you want to tell your younger self? And would he believe it?
Probably cut your hair and get a job.
Would he believe you if you told him where he was going to end up in a couple of decades or whatever?
No, this was by no way planned. It's kind of crazy where my life's taken me. I can't believe I'm living in the UK writing Indian cookbooks. It's not really the path I had chosen, but I've loved every second of it.
Do you have a favorite curry?
Yeah, I just mentioned it actually. The lamb nahari is probably my
It sounded
see,
good.
my favorite curries change all the time because you have one a few
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
time to change.
Gotcha.
Right now I'm on the lamb nahari. It takes a long time to make, like I say, about 3 hours. So I don't make it often, but I do love it.
Um,
Paul, you've
my,
got some long preparation time for your paellas.
yeah,
How long does it take for you to get one of these things whipped together? And by the way,
yeah.
just for everybody knows, Paul's paella, and then he specifically designs each paella for that party, so you can like customize it in a lot of ways, and it's really really incredible. It really is. And so having Paul come to your house, yes, you get paella, but you also get the performance of him like, hey, oh, let me put some wine in here. How long does it take you to make that paella, Paul?
Typically, and these are artisan paellas. I put a lot of effort. You're right, and I don't make the same paella twice. There's no need to. Why would you make the same painting twice? That sounds a little arrogant. But typically 3 days. I need a day for designing, a day for picking up ingredients and prep, and that's another big difference. I just don't. When you're using 200-year-old recipes, you're not allowed to change your ingredients. You can put the things together pretty quick. But I'm doing a different paella every single time. Now the drawback there is I can only do this like maximum like 8 times a month. It's not an everyday thing. It literally takes 3 days
Looks good.
for every paella. So
Right. He's got special jigged metal to put the things in a design. I mean, it's a multi-hour process once he gets to you.
I use various
Oh, yeah.
molds. Yeah. Some are
I'm
store
very
bought, some
impressed.
I made up. But thank you. But the big difference is it's made in a big flat pan. It's a big flat surface. It's begging for artwork, especially if you do it right. People in Valencia, guys, they refer to paella with the English word barbecue because it's a bunch of guys get together on Sunday and you make this thing over several hours and you're drinking wine the whole time. If you're going to be taking time to make it, well, I could be drinking wine, I guess, or I could be decorating the surface of this thing, which is a logical thing to do in my eyes. It's just kind of bizarre that I'm the only guy doing it. There's people are picking up on some of the things I'm doing now, but pie in its current form is about 200 years old. And the idea of actually putting in effort to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible it's kind of me pretty much at this point. So that sounds arrogant, don't it?
No,
It's a fact,
they do look amazing. I like I said, I want to get over there and try one because you wouldn't want to dig into it though, would you? Because it just ruin it.
I get asked that every single paella I make is like, we really don't want to dig into it. I go, good paella, there's regret with the first scoop that goes away with the first bite. Don't worry about it. Plus, I took a picture. It's on Instagram. It's good.
Preserved on Instagram for.
There you go. Didn't happen on Instagram. Did it happen? Yeah.
How much is plating and presentation part of what you do? I mean, obviously, when you're doing a photo shoot, you're worried about that stuff. But do you feel like you've got an artistic flair at all, Dan? Like when you're cooking day to day?
Not at all. No, I've had to really work on. I've had to work on that a lot. When I first started my blog, I had a really cheap camera, and it was I just kind of took pictures, and they looked fuzzy and they looked terrible. Recently I've been going back and I've bought myself a bit of kit, and I'm going back and trying to re-photograph all those recipes because they were looking pretty bad. And but now it's a major part. I do spend a lot of time taking pictures for the blog, and obviously it's out of my hands when I'm writing the books because we got a stylist there, we got 2 stylists there, we got a professional photographer, and they take care of it for me. So that's a big help.
One of the things I like to ask the chefs, especially like with you with your shot there behind you, none of that is a prop. I'm assuming all of those things are things that you use on a regular basis to prepare food.
Yeah, this is the curry cave. This is where we do all of our food testing. My wife works with me now, so we do all the testing of the recipes in here. We do our live shows from here, and we also give classes from here. So it's we got a tandoor. My computer right now is sitting on our tandoor. So we got a tandoor. We cook the naans in here, and there was a time that I did all the cooking in our home kitchen, but got moved down to the garage because I just do too much. There's always a big mess. It's okay to have a bit of a mess down here.
Do you have a bread oven out back at all too? I mean, or you just cook it there on the stovetop?
No, the naans, you mean?
Yes.
I've got a tandoor. You know, one of the big.
Nice.
Yeah, they slap it to the side of it.
Yes.
So so I got one of those in here that we cook all of our naans in and everything, and it works. And it's just a little small area. Most of it's just we just have a stove and this tandoor and then some cutting surface, and that's about it. And all that's real, yeah.
When I was in Afghanistan, we had a local guy that would make like cinnamon naan, I guess you would call it. And he would put it up on the side of the thing, and he had like a catcher's mitt almost kind of thing, like a big leather pillow. And then with the pokey, like almost like a brush for your hair, like a pokey brush that he would poke it with, and then swat it on the side.
There you go.
There it is.
So we put the naan on there and we whack it in there.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And you say classes. Can people come to your garage and take a class with you?
Yeah, we do. We're hoping to get them started up again soon. We were completely sold out for last year and had to cancel quite a lot of the classes. So as soon as it's safe to do so, we're going to start that up. We usually do them on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. I think we're going to be doing them on Saturdays and Sundays once we go back, because otherwise we'll never catch up. We have a lot of people that we've had to postpone, and so we're going to do that soon. I love doing that because it breaks up the monotony of just cooking and taking pictures, and gives me a chance to meet people that have bought the books and might have some questions and everything.
I love it. This is the best part. So you've built this impossible business. That means you're part TV producer, part photographer, part social media maven. You know, you have to cook, you have to develop new recipes, all these things. But you have also reached a level of success where you can hire some of this stuff out. So what's the next hat that you want to get rid of if you're able to grow again? Like, I don't ever want to do this again. I'll hire someone for that.
I would love to get some help with the blog, to be honest. But the blog is a major thing for me right now, and I will never stop that. I've been doing it for quite a few years now, but having a little bit of help with that would be great. And I never ever want to edit another YouTube video again. That's why I started doing the lives, because it's live, it's done. You can just walk away from it. Every time I've tried to edit a video, it just doesn't work. It's nah.
Yes, same. I feel your pain. I really do.
Yeah.
The tedious things. That's what I want to get rid of. Like, let me create bigger things, better things. Let me create, not have to, go to YouTube and massage the numbers and all these other things.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we should let Paul ask a question. He's not doing all the talking over here. Paul.
Do you ever do any on-site cooking? Like go to someone's house and like show them how to do it, or is that just too hard?
No, we used to do some classes in over in France, where people would come over for a 3-day weekend, and
nice.
So I would teach them there. I've got a couple of things planned for the new year where I'm going to be going to people's houses. We've had to postpone those as well and cook, but it's not something I do very often. I do a lot when the books come out. I do a lot of cooking demos just at the festivals, the food festivals and everything. I do a lot of stuff there, and so it's a lot of traveling. Yeah.
And how are you received by your peers in the famous chef business? I mean, do they look at you? I mean, some of these people are James Beard Award winners. Like, do you feel like they receive you as a peer?
The thing is, I've really lucked out that way, because I think they just knew that I was passionate about what they do, and so I've had. I'm not sure if you know about Atul Kochar over there. Vivek Singh. These are some amazing chefs, Michelin-starred chefs, and I've been invited to work at Atul Kochar's restaurants with them, and that was really a great experience. And they teach me. You never went away from those things without learning something valuable, because when you have someone at that at that level teaching you how to do different things, it's amazing. So it's yeah. I've had really nothing but really good experiences. I mean, obviously there's going to be there's a few people out there, but you ignore them. But for the most part, 99%, it's been great.
Yeah.
99%. Yeah. And then the whole thing with COVID slowing down what you're trying to do, that's got to be a little bit exasperating as well, as you're trying to, you've got this business that works, and then COVID's like, nobody gets to come to your house. You don't get to fly around and go do whatever events or shows you're doing. How has that been for you trying to adapt to this COVID market?
Well, I think it's been, obviously people are getting sick and tired of being in the house all the time. And I've tried to make it better. So the people that follow me on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, like I said, I've been doing these live demos. So if I make a mistake, they know it. I'm on camera. It makes it a little bit more fun if something goes wrong. Luckily, nothing has gone wrong yet. But it just kind of it breaks up the monotony for me and also the people who are watching it, because they can come, they can watch me make it. They might have read it in the book and thought, okay, does this look right? But they can watch me do it in the pan live, and it works out well. I mean, I said we've never had a mistake. Last night we had a mistake because I forgot to turn the deep fryer on. So I was about ready to show how to deep fry some paellas, and it was cold. So kept to sit there live and talk about nothing for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yes. Or when you get a delay and you're like, I don't know what to do about this except for just cover time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I want to buy the Curry Guy book. And, I eat curry. I can say red and yellow curry, green curry. I can say, I don't know, that I'm probably running out of words. Which book should I buy to get started?
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, here you are. That one. That's the new one. And
Okay.
I believe it's the Curry Guy Bible. It's includes recipes, 50 recipes from each of my first 3 books, and also 50 brand new recipes as well. So it's
a Kindle version available too on Amazon. If you guys look at the link there, that takes you to Dan's main book page with all of the books. If you go through that link, you help the show out, and you also help Dan out by getting it. I for sure am going to buy a book today, and I'm going to buy it on Kindle because I want to be able to put my computer up and then use the ability to zoom things, with my hands on my screen.
Well, thank you very much for that, because it hasn't really taken off in the States like it has over here, because a lot of people don't understand what this curry house style food is. So it's great to have people spread the word, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we all like curry, and since we are cooking at home, and we cook at home a lot anyhow as a default, and I'm trying to cook from more regions, like I want to do some Ethiopian cooking and that kind of thing, and just kind of, I'm not much of a cook, and I don't love it, but I do enjoy it. So maybe if I keep at it, it'll be something that I get into, and I do like curry, so.
I think during the lockdown, a lot of people have become chefs. They've been able to read more cookbooks. They're not going off to work every day, and they've been able to sit down. Actually, they're finding that they love cooking, and I think that's great.
Do you want to ask Paul any questions? Because I know that you guys are so similar, and we've been hammering you. I thought we might switch it around a little bit.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was looking at your site, and it's just the different sizes and everything that you can do, and it just looked absolutely incredible. And I think you've already answered this question, because you're doing these like all the time, are you?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I gotta watch how I say this, but COVID in some ways has had a silver lining for me, is that it's locked me down in my kitchen. So I've had to restrict my efforts to experimenting with different designs. And I've had a lot more time. That's why I've had some of the paellas that Pete were showing are some of my a little bit older ones now. I've had a serious creative spurt in the last year because of COVID. Some of my recent paellas are reflecting that. So,
you're able to take them out and deliver them quite easily, then, I imagine.
I cook making a paella is half the fun in the presentation. Yeah. And I use 200-year-old Ottoman antiques, whatever. I literally cook it right in front of them. I got Turkish rugs that I put over tables and my antiques. I cook it there. I usually have a crowd around me when I'm making. In fact, I've been on TV about local news channels about 5 times making a live. Now that's interesting because I have to paste that thing to match up with their commercials. So if you can imagine making a curry over like 4 hours, where I got to get this much done at this top of the hour, half of the hour. That's always interesting. Have you done something like that? I'm curious.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the classes, especially because we have to make a lot of times we get asked for special things. So we have a class that we do almost every weekend.
Okay.
But a lot of times people say, "Listen, I'm gluten free and I also don't eat meat," and so we have to come up with a completely different thing and hope that it all matches up.
Oh my God. I had to come up with a tomato-free paella once. I'm like, well, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be me. Yeah, let's go for it. Darn it.
Did you use blueberries? Did you use blueberries?
I almost did one for Pete because he wanted some blue.
That's right.
On his paella. We didn't do that. What's another option? But I could. I do use fruits. I do use
blueberries
fruits.
are a great substitute for tomatoes if you're stewing them.
You know, you and I need to get together sometime.
All right.
That begs a question I got for you. In fact, do you have curries where the rice is cooked in the curry sauce with it as it's cooking?
Yeah, it's called biryani.
That's a real thing. So
Yeah,
I bet I could do that in a paella pan.
No, that would be difficult because you need a higher side, more high side pan. But you could do like a British curry house style paella in your paella pan because that's cooked more in a flat pan, whereas authentic ones are cooked in a pot. So yeah, you could do definitely.
We should be talking sometime.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
Here's a picture of Paul cooking at my girlfriend's 50th birthday party.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
Some of that wine went in his mouth. Some of that went into the paella.
Well, when I'm cooking with buds, I'll be cooking. Yeah.
And then Dan, at this party, the cook did a cake stand.
Sorry?
At the party later on, once Paul was done cooking and he became a party goer, all of a sudden everybody's like, "Hey, the cook is doing keg stands." We had kegs and we were drinking all.
You know what that is? I've never done. You know what that is? You get some young college kids and they pick you up upside down and they take the hose from a kegger and it's like, I said, that's not even possible. So I tried it. And you know what? It's not possible. I couldn't breathe for 20 seconds. I don't know what these guys are doing. They got another hole somewhere for air. Yeah, there's liability in partying with your guests. So
it's enjoyable though, isn't it? It's fun.
Well, not when I couldn't breathe.
No, of course not.
One of the things that is cool about but Paul does is that he brings these antiques. He's got antiques, guns and swords on the wall. And so he brings these old Turkish pots and pans and things. And it's just such a neat thing to do. I know you've got the tandoori and the big catcher's mitt and everything else. Are there other things that you try to do to like create a vibe when you're cooking like that?
I do a lot. We've got a lot of long skewers, so we do a lot of stuff on the barbecue. My next book is going to be a barbecue book, the one after the next one. Okay. So it's going to be all about barbecue, and a lot of it's going to be on skewers and cooking over fire. So even though it's a barbecue book, I've got some big metal pans, with karais and everything that I'm going to be cooking over fire and telling people how to do that with a curry, and showing that a barbecue doesn't have to be hot dogs and burgers. It can be a lot more. So that's what I'm working on next.
Exactly.
You said you cook a lot of Mexican food, and
I do.
And you know how it is. You're from California, and Paul lives down by San Diego. The further I get from San Diego, the worse the Mexican food seems to get as a norm. There are exceptions, of course. But how is the Mexican food where you are in the UK? And then are you the best Mexican cook around for miles?
Well, yeah, to answer your second question, yes. And you can't find there aren't a lot of really good Mexican food restaurants over here. However, having said that, it's getting a lot better. When I first moved over, it was terrible. But now you can go down to London and find some pretty nice, good quality Mexican food. Luckily, we're starting to, one thing we weren't able to purchase for a long time was corn tortillas. You just can't get them. But there's a company down in London now that makes those fresh and sends them out to you. So we have to pay a little bit more for a lot of the ingredients, but we're able to get all the ingredients we need to make really good. We even have people around here that they're growing tomatillos now, which 10 years ago people didn't know what a tomatillo was, but you can get tomatillos now. So it's getting better. It's getting a lot better.
No, that's cool. Paul?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this guy coming out to California. I know we can do something here. So
I'm looking forward to going down to San Diego. That sounds good to me.
quick question. You prepare rices with some of these. You use the basmati, and how
It's
important is
basmati we use mainly.
Yeah.
However, there's a rice it's not like the arborio rice that you'll be using, but it's called mata rice if you can find it. It's kind of red in color. It has a very close texture to arborio, and it's really good stuff. So I use that a lot too.
Okay. Now that's
Just as a
critical.
reminder for anybody watching YouTube and Facebook, type in The Curry Guy, and you will be able to watch the lives, watch the different cooking shows. He is the cooking guy. Look at his face. So it's really simple to find him there. Obviously, buy the books on Amazon. As we're all continuing to be locked down, we're all trying new things. Why not try curry and check out the Curry Guy blog? I'll put his link for the website up here in a second. Any other questions for Paul before we make Paul shut up again?
I think we're just going to have to get together and have a few beers and eat some paella.
There you go. Well, I have to teach you how to say it first, though. It's paella. So, I went on a hunting trip last month to Texas, and we went to Sandhill Cranes, 3 days of hunting. And at the end, I made the guys, the hunters, the guys who run the lodge, a paella with Sandhill Crane. And they thought it was the most interesting. But this is Lubbock, Texas, and I couldn't get them to stop saying papaya. This guy's making a papaya. And I was like, you know what? I know where I'm at. I'm probably the only guy in that part of Texas ever to make paella or papaya.
Do you make a lot of paellas with game?
I do when I go hunting. That's a certain. There's a group of us will go every once in a while. A lot of it's in Brawley, California, and it's dove hunting, quail when it's in season, and jackrabbits. And we'll do like 3 days, and whatever we shoot goes in a pie, and I literally cook it in the field in front of a couple of palm trees. I'm on YouTube doing that, matter of fact, and it's wonderful. Now to get that thing tasting good, there's not a whole lot of fat in typical game. So
we get a lot of great game around. We live right out in the middle of nowhere, and a lot of our neighbors. A lot of our neighbors hunt, so we get all the game birds. They like to shoot them, but not eat them, so they drop them off at my house.
I love that. Yeah, I go hunting with guys who love to shoot them, but their wives will throw the birds out if they ever brought them home, so they give them all the meat. And I can see that game meat is perfect for curry because I said it is so lean. You add all those flavors with those spices. Fantastic.
Yeah,
nice.
It is good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
but when I'm out there plucking those birds, I think I could go up the road for $5. I could buy one.
Yeah, gotcha. I made the mistake once of actually putting me on Instagram plucking some doves. I lost about 100 followers. So, I guess people think that the natural habitat for meat is in a grocery store wrapped in plastic. It's like, geez, that's dissected. Gross. I mean, this is the way it's supposed to be done.
Exactly.
I love cooking with game.
Me too,
especially in the field.
Well, fellas, listen, I've had you all for an hour, and I really appreciate it. It's such a fun time talking, and I'm convinced that chefs, person for person, make the best guests because you all are just so interesting to have on the show, and you inspire me to get in front of the oven or stove and start making stuff. Dan, I've already bought a book. I'm gonna try to cook curry this weekend. That's my plan.
Oh, that's great to hear. If you have any recipe questions, just give me a ring or call, whatever.
Yeah, and Paul, thank you. You and I got to get together in your hot tub, eat some food, and drink some beers, and yell at each other a whole bunch.
Just waiting for you.
All right.